watching me for a while, you probably know that I love Pokemon biology. But whenever I talk about it, I always feel like I'm just missing out on this other half that I'm also supposed to be talking about, which is, of course, well, magic. The Pokemon world is a very magical world, obviously, but it's also biological. I think magical biology is a term that just works really great for Pokemon. Magic and biology just both work together really well in the world of Pokemon. A great example I can actually think of right now from the top of my head is a fire sac. You know, the fire type organ that some Pokemon like Scorbunny, Torchic, Flareon just seem to have, which apparently helps them produce and control fire, which is really cool. Like with most media, it's like, oh, you can just use fire, you can shoot fire, it's magic, there's no explanation needed. But I really like with how Pokemon, they're at least giving us a little bit, you know, something. So you're probably wondering, am I going to talk about the fire sac? Well, no, if you've seen the title of the video, obviously not. We're going to talk about the, you know, idea of a water sac today. So water Pokemon like Steel over here, how do they produce water just out of nowhere? Like, do water type Pokemon just have a bladder like organ in their body that acts sort of like a balloon that they use to, you know, suck up a lot of water and, you know, use it for later? Or do they just excrete their waste like that, like how we go to the bathroom, but they go to the bathroom on their opponents? Is that what they do? Is that what you just feel? You're that disgusting? With a Pokemon like Blastoise, we kind of know because it has, you know, those cannons, which I'm assuming it probably uses to suck up water. Like, okay, you know how in Mario Sunshine you have Flood and you go into the water, you press the R button, you get refilled with water? Well, what if Blastoise does that and just, you know, always has water to shoot? Actually, let's quickly go over all the water type Pokemon that appear to be using water in their biology, like Blastoise, because most water type Pokemon, to my surprise, are just water type because they're associated with water or because they swim. Blastoise, of course, using highly pressurized water as a weapon that can cut through a lot, but also high-speed tackles, so all that junk is just hitting you super hard. Ouch. So Gen 2 and 3 just seem to have nothing whatsoever. So the next one is Groudon Wash, which also seems to use water in its biology because, you know, it's a washing machine. So it's got that little tube that probably sucks up water for later usage, then spewing it out of its big hole that's in the middle of its body. Or that little tube as well, like seen in the anime. So probably like the little tube is more pressurized and the big hole is just more water. Simipour is probably a Pokemon you didn't expect to make this list because, well, let's be real, it doesn't really deserve the water type. I mean, it's just a monkey that's blue. I don't know how that makes it a water type. That's like taking a horse and adding fire onto it and then saying that's a fire type. But it does make sense if you've read the Dex entries, which talks about it using its tail to siphon up water, just like Flood again, really cool. So I can definitely imagine like Simipour, like just all the monkeys really, they all had one common ancestor, I think that's pretty obvious, but then they split up and started living in different areas. And the Simipour one, well, they started living near water, and I guess being able to suck up water with your tail snorkel and then, you know, drink it, I mean, that seems pretty chill, seems like an advantage. And then there's Keldeo, which can walk on water using its hooves, which it fires water out of. So it's probably got like tubes, like little tube systems in those hooves, which is actually kind of gross to think about, tube hooves. Clawitzer has an organ made for shooting water. You know, that big claw. It's capable of launching water like cannonballs. Volcanion is pretty much like Blastoise, but its tubes used for firing are more fleshy. Oh, and it can also heat up the water because, you know, fire type. Araquanid and Dewpider are based on the diving bell spider, which is why they got that little bubble around their head. But unlike the animal, which comes from land and lives in the water, the Pokemon are the complete opposite. They are from the water, but they move on land, which is really cool, and again, definitely sounds biological. I mean, water types, you know, they're known for blasting bubbles, but if your whole life depends on having a bubble wrapped around your head just to survive, yeah, that sounds pretty biological. Seems like there's probably like an internal system in there somewhere that just prioritizes making bubbles over anything else. So that even when the Pokemon's on land, not anywhere near water, it still has those backup bubbles for extra help. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if these Pokemon just became fully terrestrial in the future and lost their water typing, which would actually be really cool to see. Can we see that, like Future's wild Pokemon? Oh, that'd be so cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, like I said earlier, most water-type Pokemon are just water because most of them just live in the water. I mean, they can spew water and all that stuff, but they don't seem to have anything visible or written in the dex entries that talks about any biological function, which is kind of sad, honestly. But how does that work, by the way, like water types just being able to spew water? Well, you can actually do that yourself. You drink some water and then put your fingers between your lips and then you can like shoot water. But no, the archerfish, which is a really cool fish and the one that Remoraid was based on. Heck, Remoraid was originally just going to be a straight up water gun, but unfortunately didn't go for it. So what's up with the archerfish? Archerfish shoot water all the time. It's their main method of catching prey. How these fish do this is by pressing their tongues down against a grove at the bottom of their mouths, forming a shape like the barrel of a gun, and then poof, fire. The adaptation that they have for this are an elongated mouth with an internal channel through which water can be forcefully pumped, along with very powerful jaw muscles that they can also use to crush their prey. They can shoot with great precision and incredible force, and if you were to get hit by it, it would sting a little bit, which, I don't know, just for water alone, I think that's pretty impressive. I think it's fair to say that all the water-type Pokemon that live around and in the water are just capable of doing this for some reason. Heck, I could see it as being like, you know, the basic requirement to being classified as a water type, or being a water type, or however that works. All these Pokemon have just convergently evolved this feature. Like, you know, Convergent evolution, how dolphins and sharks, they look very alike, but they're not related at all, so like that. But what about storing water inside of you for later use, or when you're on land? You know, that water sac idea I had. Because you can only fit so much water in your mouth. I very much think that it depends on what Pokemon we're talking about. Like Keldeo and Blastoise likely don't have the same water sac system, considering their differing biology. Again, Convergent evolution. So maybe a bladder like Oregon, or something like the humps of a camel, which don't actually have water in them like many people think, but instead fatty reserves for longer survival and emergencies. Though of course water types would have water in them. So my idea is that with a lot of water types, they just have these organs, like these hump-like organs for storing water, but, you know, combined with some wacky, magical biology kind of thing they got going on. Because shooting water from your hooves, yeah, an animal like that's probably never gonna exist. I'll draw the line at breathing fire, thank you very much. And Pokemon that always live close to water, they probably don't need such a thing because all they really need to do is manipulate the water around them. They don't need to be storing it. How they manipulate this water is probably something similar akin to like how waterbenders, you know, bend the water. Or, something fun I've thought of, is that they manipulate the water inside of them. Because we all need water to drink and we all have water inside of us. So imagine like an Urshifu attacking you with surging strikes. And this is how most physical water, actually all physical water moves work, by the way. They all have the user envelop themselves with water, you know, somehow. So Urshifu, again, using surging strikes, and it's got the water on its hands. How does it just do that? Does it appear out of thin air? No, it appears out of its sweat. Yeah, that's very gross, but hey, if you're in a tough situation and you're a Pokemon and you need to survive, you're gonna use some water inside of your body, and you're gonna use it as a weapon. Even if it's a little bit dangerous, you know, it's better than dying or being eaten. Of course, when a Pokemon is with the trainer likely just takes good care of it, or at least I'm hoping so. I do have a magical explanation though, which also explains how fish Pokemon swim in the air in the games. So yeah, in case you ever wanted that explained, so water's in our bodies, yes, but also in the air. Not as much water, granted, and it heavily depends on how moist the air is, but it's there. So water-type Pokemon can manipulate the air anywhere around them and envelop it around their body. That also explains all the other water-type moves like Rain Dance, Aqua Ring, Life Dew. Surf and Muddy Water are a bit harder to explain. Extreme Magic, I guess? Summoning a Tidal Wave is a lot, but sure. Maybe the world of Pokemon just has more water than ours in general. I don't know, I can't explain it that much. Regarding waterbenders though, isn't it so cool when they freeze the water, you know, making it into ice? What's up with the ice type anyway? Why are ice types not just water? Also, does anyone else feel like the ice typing could have just been the same as water? I love the ice typing, don't get me wrong, the designs are great, but ice is just frozen water. I'm gonna do an ice type analysis another time, but from what I can gather, ice and water types probably have similar ways of using their typing. Maybe freezing the water inside of them and then using it. I mean, a lot of water type Pokemon already know ice moves, but that nicely segues into the last bit. Scald. How does this move even work? Like with Volcanion, it's easy to explain because it's both a fire type and water type, you know, water sac, fire sac just working together. But how do other Pokemon just heat up water safely to a boiling point? And also, how do you do that when you're an ice type? How do you do it, Steel? Also, real quickly, am I the only one who thinks that this is such a horrible sounding move? I mean, you're hitting your opponent with boiling hot water. Yeah, fire type moves are probably maybe hotter, but again, boiling water, that's so brutal. This move is probably the most magical biology-like move I can think of, because it likely involves a Pokemon using their internal heat as a weapon, which probably also leaves them in a similar situation like a Urshifu using Searching Strikes, because you're using your own body heat to survive. But again, you know, better than dying. And yeah, that's the video. I'm bad at ending videos. So yeah, if you have any, you know, thoughts, comments, leave them down below, or, you know, algorithm if you want to do that. Yeah, also, new setup, what do y'all think? I've showed this before, but I don't know how many y'all saw that video. But yeah, I'm back! And next time, I'm probably going to make a video about Legends Arceus. I really like those Hisuian forms, so I'll probably talk about those. It's the 19th right now, so Legends Arceus is very close. Don't know when I'm going to release that, but we'll see. As always, before I go, I want to give out an amazing shout out to my assistant professor and lecturer patrons. Ty Burns, DeltaMajora, Michael Piccirilli, and Gwen Joy. As always, y'all are super awesome, and thank you so much for the support. And with that being said, I hope y'all have a good day, night, or morning, and as always, take care.